Yeah, today I'm going to talk about my personal history. This photo was taken on my inauguration ceremony this May. You know, I'm the second woman president of the Kirams since our 60 years of our history. So, well, my story is very humble and nothing special, but I thought you two guys are also give presentations. I prepared it yesterday. Just the pictures. I graduated from medical school in 1992 and started my career at a Korea Cancer Center Hospital in the Kirams. This picture was taken in 1998, the year of my completion of residency training, and these two people in front was the faculty. They all retired now. Yeah, and I had my sabbatical in the United States from 2002 to 2004, and I came back to Kirams as a faculty in 2005. And in 2023, I've been elected as a president. Wow. During the sabbatical, I worked with the Barnes Jewish Hospital in Washington University in St. Louis. Dr. Bauer was the director of the molecular diagnostic lab, and she was one of the founding member of AMP, Association for Molecular Pathology. Maybe some of you know the association. It's very big size association for all kind of expertise, and the Journal of Molecular Diagnostics is the affiliated official journal of AMP, and Barb herself was once the editor-in-chief. She introduced me to the AMP members, and since then I've been actively involved in the AMP activities as an International Affairs Committee member. This is the IAC activities in 2018 in the United States, and the right picture was taken in 2016. When I invited her to an annual meeting of Korean Society of Genetic Disease. 2011, just before the Fukushima accident happened, I had an opportunity to co-assignment at the nuclear radiation emergency medical center, also, which is also under the umbrella of Kirams. I was in charge of biodosimetry lab of. Actually, I set up the laboratory, and as soon as I set up the biodosimetry technique by dicentric assays and translocation fish assay, Fukushima happened. So our team performed a lot of biodosimetry for people who traveled to Fukushima as first responders, journalists, students. After they came back to Korea, they visited our radiation effect clinic and took the test. Now the biodosimetry lab, as one of my colleagues presented this morning, biodosimetry lab is now ISO accredited medical laboratory. This is taken in 2013. Some of you from Saudi Arabia, I think. This is King Fahad Hospital in Saudi Arabia. Our team was with our government, and we had discussion for technology transfer for Saudi medical preparedness for radiant emergencies. It didn't go very well though. And I also had a chance to work for UNSCARE. Since the Korean government became a member state of UNSCARE, I was one of UNSCARE Korean delegation. And 2019, I have been elected as a vice chair of UNSCARE and served that position for 3 years. It's very honor for me. Well, my hobby is hiking. Whenever I have time or I need to cool off, I go to a mountain with my husband. I conquered most of the famous Korean mountain, and the right picture is Tateyama in Japan. Yeah, you recognize it? Yeah. My husband and also I was there with some Japanese colleagues. This is my colleagues, who are always supportive for me. They all make my professional life happy. This is my personal friend. You recognize the right picture, the old picture? That's the same people in the left. And she, the second one was taking this picture. So she's not here, not seen in this picture. They are lifetime friend. Two of them are friends since my elementary school. This is Paco, you know. I met him through this conference. I met him in Japan, NIRS, just before I set up the biodosimetry lab in Korea. After the Fukushima accident, the situation was overwhelmed. So it's very difficult for me to handle the situation alone. So I asked him to help me. He came over to Korea and stayed at the Kirams for 3 weeks, I think, among his very busy university life. So since then, I consider him as a friend and colleague. This picture is when I traveled to Barcelona with my husband. Paco invited us to the traditional festival, the Human Towering Festival. So we enjoyed it. This is my family. Yeah. Like I said, my husband is always supportive for me. And my 2 children, daughter and son, they are incredibly independent. So I didn't have to take care of them much. So they, as far as I remember, they never gave me a difficult time about the raising children. So thank you for all of them. I could, well, without them, I couldn't do what I have done so far, I believe. So that's it. That's my story.
Thank you very much. Very interesting, very inspiring, and shows us a little bit different face of our colleagues whom we've been knowing for many years. But I did not ask our presenters to do the presentation. That was an extra effort, much appreciated. And next, who will go first? Carol, Dr. Carol Iddins, your turn.
Okay. Yes, that's hard to beat, Dr. Lee. I scribbled a few little things that I can barely read now on these little video note pages, but yes, that's terrific. And I think you truly exemplify, how wonderful, it is to have a career and a passion and to follow that and be with your family. Mine, obviously no slides, not so eloquent, unfortunately, but I knew at a very early age that I wanted to go into medicine. My mother was a nurse, and all of her friends were nurses. And when my father was working late on our dairy farm, catching cows that escape and things like that, because that happens, she would take us to the hospital because she had no other help, care for us. So we hung out at the hospital a lot. And she was head of the night shift at our local hospital. And this was such a remote area that she would do anesthesia, she would deliver babies, she would do the episiotomy repairs, all on her own, because the doctors would go, oh, you can take care of this, and no worries. So because of my mom and also my father, we all grew up to be very independent kids. So kind of like your children, we were very independent and fortunately fairly well behaved. My mom might not make the same comments as you about yours, but but at any rate. So we were very independent, knew what we really wanted to do for our career paths. And I went to medical school and did residency all within my state school system, the University of Tennessee. And I did obstetrics and gynecology, which a lot of you here might look at me and go, well, why on earth are you in radiation related fields right now? Well, it was two things pertinent to this session. One is that sadly, our female residents who were pregnant didn't always get treated very nicely. In fact, they would often be on call in surgery, delivering right up until they actually went into labor themselves. However, with our patients, we certainly had that love and respect and wanting to provide good care, health care for women. So that was a big passion for me. Along the way with that, I saw a lot of late radiotherapy injuries. And I truly enjoyed the gynecologic aspects of surgery, particularly oncologic surgery. So I did, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, got experience with these late radiotherapy injuries. That is not what got me directly to REACTS. I went into the Air Force. They actually paid for my medical school. So like our colonel in the back of the room, I was proud to wear Air Force blue for the United States. Along the way, I will mention the few challenges in medical school, in residency. You sit at the nurse's desk, writing your notes, and people always come up and go, can you get me some coffee, or can you get ice, could you do this? So they already always assume you're the nurse, not the physician. But you learn to take that with a grain of salt and realize that they think you're more approachable perhaps, so that can be a good thing. Challenges in the Air Force really were very few. That was where I felt the most equal and respected treatment of all, other than, and you'll be able to correct me now because I think it's better now, uniforms. Uniforms, the boots, the shoes, the flight suits were not designed for women. This is a very big challenging thing, especially when you're wearing body armor over a flight suit. And well, those of you who have worn flight suits, you know the challenges of that, being female versus male. But I was very well accepted by my colleagues in the Air Force. I think like most women, we are used to the comments of when you interview, like for my residency, when I interviewed, I did get asked if I was married and if I planned to get married and if I planned to have children, which is quite now illegal to do, though it does still happen a lot, which is okay. And then oftentimes too, many women will tell me that they've been, told that, oh, well, once you have your children, you're not going to have time to work. You want to be with your children. Or, if you don't have the children, then, well, you won't know your management skills because you learn that from having children. So I think a lot of the women in any field really have a lot of the same issues. However, for this particular path, at REACS, I am the first female physician that we have had at REACS, and we're going to be 50 years celebration in 2026. Yes, 2026. So I am the first female physician. I am the first female director of REACS. So like Dr. Lee, good on you for your being the second. But it is a little bit harder to achieve these positions. However, I think things are equalizing a little bit more so. As for the work-life balance, that has been a challenge for certain. REACS is a very busy place. We've traditionally been very, very small, but yet a very high demand asset to where we do a lot of things. However, we are starting to grow, so the work-life balance is getting better. My hobbies too are hiking, though I haven't gotten to do as much of that as I would really like. Going to cultural events, concerts, things like that. But my husband is very, very supportive. My family's been very, very supportive the whole way through. So overall, it's been a very good ride, as they say. So, but thank you. Thanks, Dr. Lee. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Tamarat, if that's okay.
Thank you. Wonderful. Yeah. So good morning, good afternoon, I think so. So I'm Dr. Tamarat, and as you can see my name, I think that I was predestinated to do radiation, the first step. And I didn't get any information about the diapositive. I'm sorry for that. So I'll try to make it to summarize. First of all, so I'm working at the RSN, Institute of Radio Protection and Nuclear Safety of France, and my story began in Algiers. I'm born in Algiers. I will not say which year, but I moved from Algiers to US, Washington, D.C., and the next step was Africa due to the position of my father as a diplomat. And then there was the civil war in Algiers. That's why my dad decided that we will stay in Paris in order to continue our education due to the Algerian civil war. That's the reason why at 14, I was in Paris. I had my bachelor, my university degree and PhD at the hospital on vascular physiology. I continue and completed by a postdoc in Collège de France. And then I have been hired by, I think that the majority knows Patrick Grumolon, which was our professor, my mentor, I will say, in the institution. And what was funny is that when I have been hired, my first interview, I would say with him, was very, I would say, weird. At the end of the interview, he asked me, he said, "You are young, 28 years old, you are a woman. I think that, I hope so, no baby." I looked at him and I said, I was a little bit stressed by the answer because I was playing my recruitment at my position. And at that moment, I returned back to the woman, his assistant, and I was seeing that no compassion. So finally I said, no, I will not have any baby. And what was funny, 1 year after, I was pregnant. But as a woman, I was thinking that I was guilty. That's the reason why before being pregnant, I deposed my first patent on the use of adipocyte stem cells on the skin, radio-induced skin injury. So this is my first feeling about being guilty as a woman. And having a family life and a position. What I wanted also to share with you was my first experience with REMPAN, I will say, female support. And Zanat was the first woman that, because Patrick Gourmelon sent me to the first REMPAN meeting, in my case, was in Nagasaki in 2011. Those in this, I think in this room, there is a lot of persons which were there. And at that moment, I was young, and I was presenting my first international meeting, and some comments some questions were a little bit aggressive. I don't know if it's because I was young, if I was a woman, I don't care, but they were a little bit aggressive. And at that moment, Zanat or Janat stand up and was saying, please do not make the meeting very tough, and please respect the fact that it's a young woman. And that was our first support, my first professional international women REMPAN support. So basically what I learned from Patrick Gourmelon also is that, because he's a wonderful guy, it's just the first, I will say, interview was difficult. But as a military, and Matthias, I'm sorry for saying that, as a military general, professor, medical doctor, what I learned from him is that pursuing conviction and arguments help, in fact, and can modify sometimes position very tough decisions. And this what I learned working with him, and makes me more stronger on the fact that even if sometimes it could be difficult, we just need to pursue with arguments and facts in order to change some mentalities. What I can say after that is, for this professional, I will say, status. So I was a head of the laboratory of medicine, regenerative medicine in RSN. Then I moved as a co-head deputy for the health department and epidemiology. And more recently, I've been in the director team with in the health department as a co-coordinator or as a coordinator of program research in radioprotection, and also involved in many missions in IEA and WHO expertise as an advisor or consultant. And in parallel, because Zanat asked us to talk about our personal life, I'm proud to be a wife, to be a mom, a mother of two wonderful babies, so teenagers, I will say. And in fact, what I learned from them, and as a woman, what was difficult to go to all these different missions that I had all around the world, is the fact that at the difference, if we compare with a man, I will say as a woman, I was very guilty. When I moved to my mission, I was crying when I was leaving my babies. And even when I was returning back as a guilty person, I was always having an enormous suitcase with a lot of gifts. The comparison with my husband is that he was leaving in his mission happy and returning back very happy. This is the major, I think, difference with a woman. She's always guilty. And I think that the most important challenge in a woman's career is to try to have, how can I say, assurance, or to accept that we have three major roles. And sometimes in my case, it was as a mother, as a wife, and as a working girl. And this is the most difficult challenge, and to accept that we will not be 100% of each of these three roles, or two roles, so it depends on the woman. And the most challenging thing is at the end to try to keep these different roles. So this was my last message, I think. So thank you very much for listening to my talk.
Thank you so much for all speakers. Can you all three please come here on the stage? I want to really thank you. Excellent, excellent. Excellent. I think it was an experiment when we had this idea to do this session. To do this session. Thank you so much. It was an experiment, and of course, as being a UN organization, part of UN family, we always have to follow our policies, etc. And the UN very much is pro equal, gender equality and women empowering, etc. But I thought, actually, when we think about it, in all REMPAN meetings before, I mean, not all, but in many meetings in my field, there've been often 99% men in the meeting, and I would be only one girl there. And sometimes they would greet each other with handshake and they just pass by me. So I thought, I think there is something we can do. And why don't we try this? And I really appreciate these 3 brave women who accepted the challenge and agreed to do this new thing with me. I'm really moved, and we loved your stories. And I also want to thank everyone who actually casted the vote. We tried to do the voting, and don't take this vote seriously. It is informal. It is just to see if it will work or not. But can we have the slide on the screen? Yes, a drum roll. The winner is Dr. Jin Lee. Congratulations. Congratulations. But we also want to thank Carol and Raja. And this is also for you. Thank you so much. So we can take a little moment to make it. Yes. I hope it will become a good tradition. We'll try to continue this tradition. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Sophia, for making these beautiful slides.